Mingu. Yon, Taehyung came to our playground. Yunwoo. Jungkook Young, he says he want to play with us. Two little boys who were about 7 to 8 years came running towards the room of the Crown Prince Jungkook. Jungkook. What's it, Mingu? The Crown Prince of Crystal Kingdom came towards Mingu and Yunwoo immediately as soon as he heard Taehyung's name. Mingu, Young, Taehyung want to play with us. We said we don't like him, but still he didn't leave. Yunwoo, yes, Yeon. JK, yeah, let's go. Let's teach him a good lesson that would remember him for his lifetime. Jungkook, who was only about 10 years, said angrily as all three of them left to the playground area where Taehyung, who was also same as Jungkook, was playing with the other princess. Taehyung was peacefully playing alone in a corner without caring about all the other princes who were not liking his presence there, when suddenly someone pushed him so hard onto the ground, immediately making him tear up. He looked up with his Bambi-teary eyes just to meet Jungkook's angry eyes. JK, how dare you to come to our playground? Tae, but I also want to play with you, Jungkookie. Taeyang said with his Bambi-teary eyes making a cute pout. JK, how dare you to address me as just Jungkook, huh? It's Crown Prince Jungkook for you, Lucy Taeyang, he shouted. JK, Sugayang, Hosekyang, let's teach him a lesson, he shouted as two more princes who were around 12 years old came and joined Jungkook as they started to beat Taeyang up mercilessly. That's when the royal guard who was in charge of Taeyang's security came and rescued him, picking him up while Jungkook's royal guard came and pulled Jungkook away from Taeyang. Taeyang was crying so hard while Jungkook was struggling to free himself from the guard, shouting incoherent words towards Taeyang. JK, you ugly loser, don't you dare to show us your face again. Every time I see your face, it makes me want to vomit, he shouted. Hosek and Suga, yeah, you ugly loser. They also shouted in union, as every other prince on the ground also started to shout at Taeyang, calling him a ugly loser. Jungkook was the crown prince of Crystal Kingdom, who was the son of King Jeonjun, the king of Crystal Kingdom, which was the biggest kingdom out of the all kingdoms which were present, and it was renowned for the battle skills, making all the other kingdoms to fear them due to the ultimate power of the army of the Crystal Kingdom. So, because of this, each and every kingdom used to show an immense respect towards the Crystal Kingdom, trying to make new relationships and building friendships with Crystal Kingdom, except one particular kingdom, which was known as Silverwood Kingdom, who was brave enough to stand against Crystal Kingdom. Because of this, King Jeonjun wanted to destroy the Silverwood Kingdom as they wasn't in good terms with Crystal Kingdom, unlike the other kingdoms, because all the other kingdoms were either was won by Crystal Kingdom or was friends with Crystal Kingdom. So as a result, Silverwood Kingdom was lost against the huge army of Crystal Kingdom. The king of Silverwood Kingdom was killed during the battle, while Queen, who was 6 months pregnant, was forcefully married and was taken with the Crystal Kingdom by King Jeonjun. Even though the King Jeonjun forcefully married the Queen of Silverwood, he was respectful towards the Queen and led the Queen to keep her unborn child, and this child was Taeyang. Even though Taeyang was his enemy's child, when Taeyang was born, King Jeon's heart got warmed, which made him love Taeyang as one of his own child, which couldn't accepted by the Queen of Crystal Kingdom and the other wives of King Jeon, which made them hate the Queen of Silverwood and Taeyang, making other princes also hate Taeyang. Unlike other princes who just hated Taeyang, Jungkook used to hate Taeyang to the core, which made him bully Taeyang in each and every time possible. Because unlike the other princes, Taeyang was fragile since childhood, which made it hard for Taeyang during battlefield training, since he was small. And Jungkook hated how fragile Taeyang was when it came to the battlefield. Because of this, Jungkook always insulted Taeyang, telling how fragile and ugly Taeyang was, even though Taeyang wasn't ugly like Jungkook said. Time passed, but Jungkook's hate towards Taeyang didn't change at least a bit. Not even King Jeon was able to find a remedy for this issue. As they grew up slowly, Taeyong couldn't tolerate how Jungkook and the other princes insulted him, calling him ugly and fragile, so he started to wear baggy handbooks which could hide his fragile body and used to wear a veil over his face to cover his face fully from which only his eyes were visible. As a result of this ultimate battle, King John could do nothing but to separate Taeyang from Jungkook, so he decided to send Taeyang off to another royal school, which was located far away from the Crystal Kingdom at the age of 14, because even though Taeyang was not his own child, the behavior and the sweet talks of Taeyang made King Jeon want to protect him at all costs. 6 years later, 6 years passed as Jungkook grew up so handsome. He was so attractive up to a distance that every princess was so in love with him, and everyone was trying so hard to get even a single glance from the handsome crown prince. Jungkook had a perfect, well built physique which made him so strong, and even had mastered every skill which made him so good at everything. And even King Jeon was so proud of how well and skillful Jungkook had grown up. Meanwhile, with Taeyang on the other hand, Taeyang spent the past 6 years being so happy as his royal school was such a nice place which made him feel free and loved. With the time passed, Taeyang grew up to an eternal boy who was so attractive. He was still fragile and feminine, but was more beautiful and eternal than any female. He had a long silky hair which was long up to his knees. His face, his skin was glowing, while his eyes were so attractive which could make anyone go crazy just by one single eye contact. Plus his body was screaming nothing but pure perfection. Finally, it was the time for Taeyang to come back home after completing his studies. Even though Taeyang was fragile, he had also mastered all the skills exactly like Jungkook and was so good at sword fighting, dueling, arrow shooting, etc., same as Jungkook. It was the day of Taeyang's arrival as King Jeon had arranged a royal party to welcome Taeyang after a long 6 years, and as the command of King Jeon, Jungkook had to accompany Taeyang to the castle, which irritated Jungkook. Taeyang wanted to be free in Crystal Kingdom, but he knew after seeing him, definitely those jealous princes and princesses would start to annoy him. So he decided to still wear the veil like he used to wear when he was in Crystal Kingdom, as he didn't wanted unwanted attention, no problems. Taeyang arrived to the Crystal Kingdom with some soldiers, and Jungkook had to offer his hand to help Taeyang to get down from the horse as per the command of King Jeon. Taeyang could visibly see how annoyed Jungkook was, and Jungkook was looking so handsome even with his annoyed expression, which made Taeyang coo at Jungkook. At the moment Jungkook offered his hand for Taeyang, Taeyang honestly felt butterflies in his stomach, making him blush so hard, which no one noticed, all thanks to the veil which he was wearing to cover his face. Jungkook wasn't interested in making any kind of eye contact with Taeyang, as he didn't even look at his face, not even once, which made Taeyang feel sad, because no matter how much JK hated Taeyang, Taeyang always liked Jungkook and had a huge crush on him like every other prince. Even though he knew love was impossible thing when it comes to him and Jungkook, he was crystal clear Jungkook didn't like him, still exactly like he used to be back then. Both Taeyang and Jungkook tried their best to keep avoiding each other, because when it comes to Jungkook, he knew he can't let out his anger on Taeyang, which he used to do in their childhood, as he should act responsible as a crown prince, while Taeyang didn't want to lit any childhood hate between him and Jungkook once again. Some days passed as Taeyang got used to go out and roam in the villages just as a normal person, as he wanted to have some fresh air and some peacefulness. While roaming, he got to find some peaceful, beautiful, and natural places which made him feel so relieved, which made him come to those places whenever he had free time. Out of those places, there was one particular place inside the forest which had a beautiful pond surrounded by huge rocks and big trees, which made Taeyang feel so safe. So he used to come to that place often and was used to bath and play in the pond alone. But one day, something unexpected happened. That was, Jungkook had a walk in the villages to get to know the problems of the people. with some of his soldiers who were dressed as common people. So, after spending hours and hours roaming in the villages, Jungkook decided to have some rest as he went to find a peaceful place to have a nap. After moving some distance deep into the forest, Jungkook discovered a pond with a calm nature as he decided to stay there a little bit. So he went near the pond just to witness a mesmerizing sight which made his soul leave his body for a second, making him fascinated by the view. Meanwhile, with Taeyang, Taeyang came to the pond which has now become his favorite place to enjoy his free time. He placed the bunch of flowers which he picked on his way to the pond on a nearby rock after inhaling the sweet scent of the flowers as he unwrapped his robe. He started to swim in the pond and spent some time swimming, and then he washed his long hair gently and wore his inner vest like shirt and his inner underpants, which looked more like a trouser. Lying down on the big rock next to the pond, which was surrounded by big trees, spreading his thick long silk hair, placing his robe on a side with the bunch of flowers still in his inner vest like shirt and the underpants, feeling the warmth of the nature as he started to read the novel which he bought. Time passed as Taeyang fell asleep while reading the book, looking like an angel fallen from heaven. He was gently holding onto the book which was on his chest, while his shirt had lifted a bit, exposing his soft, squeezy tummy. Jungkook was about to sat on one of the rocks, placing his sword aside, when his eyes fell on the angel who was sleeping on a rock peacefully, making Jungkook awestruck by the beauty. Jungkook was so damn sure that he had never seen someone beautiful like this boy in his whole damn life as he silently approached the boy. The moment Jungkook saw the face of the boy, he felt like a current passed through his heart, increasing his heartbeat, making him want to have a closer look at the angelic features of the boy. He felt like he fell in love with the boy at first sight. Jungkook went more closer as his eyes started to roam from Tae's thick silky hair, Tae's closed eyes with long eyelashes, sharp perfect nose, rosy heart-shaped plum lips which was inviting Jungkook to have a bite, his slender neck, his exposed collarbones which was shining, his chest which was covered with a soft fabric, his exposed milky tummy to his thin vest till Taeyang's toes. Only God knew how long Jungkook kept staring at Taeyang because he was that much mesmerized by the beauty of the boy. Jungkook bent down, keeping his hands to the either sides of Tae, caging Tae between his arms. He gently hovered over Taeyang as he tuggled Tae's hair behind his ear, gently adoring him. That's when his eyes fall on to the birthmark on Taeyang's bottom lip, which made a sudden lust run into his mind as he unknowingly bit his own lips, trying so hard to prevent himself from doing something to the boy. He had never felt this much towards anyone before, and this was the very first time Jungkook felt this irresistible to someone. He slowly ran his thumb over his bottom lip unconsciously when Taeyang's eyes opened, making Jungkook lost in Taeyang's dark blue eyes, almost making his soul leave his body. Taeyang gasped, seeing a man hovering over him as he immediately stood up, pushing the man so hard, making Jungkook take few steps back. And that's when Taeyang recognized it's Jungkook and got shocked to see Jungkook in front of him as he never expected Jungkook to have an encounter like this with him, especially when he is not wearing his veil. He felt like he got fully exposed in front of Jungkook, but that's when the realization hit him, making him feel a little bit relieved, because Jungkook had never ever seen his face after he started to wear the veil. So he was sure Jungkook couldn't be able to recognize him, which kind of boosted up his energy. Taeyang immediately pulled his sword from his robe as he pointed it at Jungkook, immediately covering himself with the robe. Jungkook slightly smirked, seeing Taeyang's action as he came closer to Taeyang, staring right back into Taeyang's fierce eyes, making the tip of Tae's sword touch his chest. JK, wow, such a fierce beauty. Tae, dare to step closer, you will directly go to heaven. Taeyang said aggressively as he pressed the sword onto Jungkook more. JK, why so hurry, love? JK flirted with Taeyang as Taeyang's heart skipped a beat, hearing JK, as he never thought Jungkook could flirt as he always used to see him angry. Tae, Leave me alone or else you will see the worst side of mine, they said as he wanted to escape from JK's side as fast as possible. JK, I love to see every side of yours, he said smirking as he intensely stared at Taeyang, making Taeyang almost lost his patience, which made Taeyang attack Jungkook. Jungkook immediately took his sword as he defended himself. Taeyang kept attacking Jungkook mercilessly as he knew how powerful Jungkook was. But all Jungkook did was dodging Tae's attacks. He didn't even try to counterattack Taeyang, not even for once. Except dodging, which kinda surprised Taeyang. Jungkook was enjoying so much seeing Taeyang losing his control as he kept only dodging Tae's attacks to irritate Taeyang more. Whole 10 minutes passed, but there was no sign of stopping. Taeyang was a total mess by now as his long hair had got all messy, dancing on the air. Taeyang had enough as he decided to attack JK's snake as JK wasn't counterattacking him. He jumped in the air as he directly pointed the sword to JK's snake. But this time, Jungkook's smirk grew wider as he made Tae's sword fly away in the air as he caged Taeyang in his arms, pointing his sword onto Tae's neck, which made Taeyang gulp a little. Jungkook laughed as he kept his chin onto Taeyang's shoulder, more like back-hugging Tae, while pointing the sword at Tae. Taeyang could feel JK's breath on his neck as JK inhaled Tae's sweet scent, making Taeyang feel shivers down his spine. Tae, leave me, you pervert. Tae struggled to free himself. JK, patience, love, of course I'll let you go. But he turned Taeyang to face him. JK's hand was now wrapped around Tae's waist. First, you have to tell me, who are you and where are you from? He said as he playfully wiggled his eyebrows. Tay, it's none of your business. JK, of course it was none of my business till now, but not anymore, because I want to know how this kind of a beauty didn't got noticed in my kingdom. Tay, what if I don't want to tell you? He challenged back with a sassy attitude, making Jungkook chuckled as he jerked Tae more closer, being so close to Tae, almost brushing his lips with Taeyang. JK, then be ready, love. I'm gonna find you no matter where you hide. Mark my words, he said as he held Ted's chin gently as he tried to touch Ted's bottom lip once again. Taeyang could see how crazy Jungkook had gone just by a few minutes of their meeting, which kinda made his heart beat like a drum, because how can someone not get hyped after seeing their crush being so crazy for them? And Taeyang was sure he needed to do something before Jungkook find his real identity, and all he knew was he had to leave as fast as he could. So he decided to take the advantage of the situation a bit, as Jungkook was his crush after all. Taeyang could see how JK's sword was not pointed at him anymore, as he was so engulfed in the moment, being hypnotized by him. So he slowly ran his hand onto JK's hand, which was holding his chin, staring right back onto JK's eyes as he slowly closed the gap between them, making JK clueless for a moment. Tae, oh really? Then let's see how you're gonna find me, Prince Jungkook. Guess what? I'm so damn sure that you can't. They smirked as Jake's eyes widened as he wasn't expecting Taeyang or in his perspective a random boy to recognize him, especially when he was in normal attires. And that's when Taeyang closed the gap between them, Jungkook, making his soul leave his body, freezing him on the spot. Jungkook's mind got blank for a few seconds as Taeyang smiled at Jungkook's unconscious state as he pushed Jungkook to the pond as they were standing on a rock which was next to pond. Jungkook fell onto the pond as he got soaked in water. Hey, goodbye, Prince Jungkook. He waved as he disappeared, leaving no clue behind. Jungkook was fast enough to come out of the pond, but he couldn't find Taeyang anywhere. JK, did he just make me a fool and got escaped? He snatched his back of his head with an embarrassed smile as he kept smiling to himself. JK, and I lost my first kiss too. He touched his own lips as he closed his eyes, smiling like an idiot as he tried to remember how Taeyang's soft plum lips got crushed with his lips. All Jungkook knew was he was in love with the mysterious boy, and he was determined to find the beauty at any cost then and there. Jungkook ran his eyes over the place where Taeyang kept lying as he smiled once more before leaving. When something caught his eyes, it was the book which Taeyang was reading. Jungkook picked up the book as he smiled seeing the novel, which was a romance story. JK, a love story, huh? He laughed as he opened the book to see whether it had any name written on it. JK, V. So that's your name, V. Wow. He almost jumped after getting to know that the boy's name was V.